Beneath the bustling streets of modern Istanbul lies a secret that has been silent for centuries, a forbidden truth carved in stone, hidden from the eyes of an empire. This isn't just a story about a hidden chapel, it's the untold saga of a quiet, unbelievable resistance against one of history's most powerful forces. The world is changing, and an ancient faith is being systematically erased. But on a peaceful Thessalonian hillside, in the convent of St. Catherine, 23 women are about to begin a journey that will defy history itself. Their story starts not with a battle cry, but with the shattering sound of their convent bell, a sound that marks the end of their world and the beginning of an extraordinary fight for survival. These were not warriors. They were nuns, led by their abbess, Elelan. Among them was Magdalena, a young woman whose faith was her only shield, and Theodoris, an elder who had seen empires rise and fall, yet had never witnessed a strategy so chilling. The Ottoman conquest wasn't just about land, it was a calculated program of erasure. The goal was not to create martyrs, but to turn living people into ghosts. Obedient bodies stripped of their souls, their names, and their God. Forced from their home, the 23 nuns began a brutal trek from the hills of Thessaly to the coast. The sun beat down, their lips were dry and cracked, and the dust of the road tasted like ash. They were promised mercy, offered conversion as a path to a better life. But these were lies, designed to break their spirit before their bodies gave out. Food was withheld, their prayers were mocked, and every step was a deliberate act of spiritual coercion. In the darkest corners of the palace, she gathered her sisters. She reminded them that even if their voices were silenced, their memories could not be conquered. Magdalena's quiet psalms, once whispered in the safety of their convent, now became a lifeline, a chorus of defiance that echoed in the cold, unfamiliar corridors. And then they discovered it. Deep beneath the opulent palace, in a network of forgotten tunnels and cellars, they found a space. A small, damp, lightless chamber. This would become their sanctuary. This would become their secret chapel. It wasn't built of marble or gold. It was a shrine born of desperation and endurance, using whatever they could find, a shard of pottery for an altar, rendered fat for wax to make candles, wild herbs for incense. They staged a clandestine worship. Night after night they would slip away into the darkness below. By the flickering light of a single precious flame, they transformed the cold stone walls. With trembling hands and broken nails, they began to carve. First, a simple cross, then another, and another. Each mark was a testament, a prayer made permanent. Magdalena, with a shard of stone, painstakingly etched the opening lines of a psalm into the wall. Theodoris, remembering the Latin of her youth, guided them, her voice a low, steady hum in the echoing darkness. Their prayers were no longer just for themselves. They were for the memory of their home, for the faith they refused to abandon. They shared stories of St. Catherine, whispered the names of saints, and kept their language, their culture, and their God alive in the belly of the beast. The personal became universal. Their secret vigil was a testament that consciousness can outlive power. They weren't just praying, they were building a monument to the human spirit. They were proving that you can cage a body, but you cannot imprison a soul. The Ottoman strategy was clinical and cruel. They wanted to create a silent, compliant populace, but they underestimated the power of memory and the resilience of belief. While the empire above them celebrated its conquests with grand mosques and towering minarets, a different kind of power was growing in the darkness below. A power that didn't need armies or walls. It needed only faith and the courage to remember. Imagine the scene. A young girl, perhaps no older than Magdalena when she first took her vows, scratching the outline of a single bird into the stone with her fingernail, a symbol of a soul that could still fly free. Beside it, another nun carved 14 lines of a prayer, her final act of defiance. And beneath it all, the simple, powerful refrain, "We endure." This wasn't just a private memory anymore. It was a public testament, waiting for the future to find it. Centuries passed. The Ottoman Empire, once the most feared power on earth, eventually crumbled. Palaces fell into disrepair, and the stories of sultans became the stuff of legends. But deep beneath the ground, the secret chapel waited. The crosses remained. The Latin lines, though faded, were still there. Archaeologists and historians, sifting through archives and exploring the forgotten tunnels beneath Topkapi Palace, would eventually stumble upon this sacred space. They found the crosses. They traced the faint outlines of the bird. And they read the words that had been carved with such desperate hope, lux in tenebris lucet, a Latin phrase from the Gospel of John. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. This is the ultimate legacy of the 23 nuns of St. Catherine. Their victory wasn't in reclaiming their land or rebuilding their convent. Their victory was a lasting presence, a whisper of faith that outlived the roar of an empire. History often favors the conquerors, writing their stories in bold letters, but memory, stubborn and sacred, preserves the voices of the vanquished. The story of these women reveals a profound truth. To resist erasure is to authorize a future where the silent are finally heard. Their story isn't just about religion. It's about power's relentless impulse to erase people and the incredible human capacity to endure. The survivors act, carving prayers, sustaining each other, leaving their marks for us to find, reframes the very idea of triumph. It's not about winning the battle, it's about outlasting the war. As we look at the images of these carvings, let's remember the hands that made them. Let's hear the echo of their whispered psalms. The light they ignited in that dark tunnel continues to shine, a beacon that defies empires and illuminates a fundamental truth. Memory sustains us when all else decays. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot and will not ever extinguish it. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. If this story moved you, please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss more untold stories from the shadows of history. Until next time, keep seeking the light.